Sony thinks that they are like untouchable. They think they're immortal. Like they think that they're on top. They think good. They've managed to take Xbox out that, they've killed their only competitor and that they've won. And so now they can just do whatever the fuck they want because Xbox has been vanquished and so many people have treated it like this. But, all these video game journals that are doing this are acting like Nintendo isn't a serious contender, and it is, and everything. And more, the tide of public sentiment is kicking in Nintendo's favor because they're the last holdouts that are producing physical media, but not just that aspect of it, that there's a nerve there and everything with consumers that want to own their own stuff. But on top of all of that, as I've gone over my station in the past couple of days and everything, and I've covered, the number of exclusives in terms of intellectual property that Sony has fallen from, 1,800 all the way down to 20 to like 15 to 20 at this point on the PlayStation 5. So, for almost every game that comes out these days, there's another way to access it and to play it than on the PlayStation. There's just too many other ways to do it. And, for whatever reason, the video game press, I guess, because they want to be able to secure access to, Sony to do interviews with them, have become a bunch of sniveling cowards who are too afraid to publicize an article that's critical of them about this. Like IGN had their one, and now they're already kissing Sony's ass already, for whatever reason, they've gone in hardcore defending it because, they made one article they made one video that was critical of it, and so now they've got to start ass kissing now because they're afraid that, in the future they won't be able to access Sony. But, the IGN might like in this corner, Sony has nothing. They don't have a single piece of there's no reason to even care if you're denied access to them because they've got nothing. They have not a single game on their entire roster is remotely desirable. I don't want to play any of them across the board, you know? Any game that they have on their platform, I have means to play some other way without them. And the best platform to play anything on is the PC. So, Sony thinks that they've vanquished all their competitors, but Nintendo is still in the game, and its reputation has, it's much better than theirs right now, and everything. Despite the fact that Nintendo, like much of the internet, still is mad at them for their own reasons, like their litigious nature and everything, and the way that they and it's not just, oh hey, you've shut down emulators and piracy. It's you've you've shut down like anybody that makes fan content that happens to use your intellectual property without your permission to make anything like, a remake of a game that happens to belong to you, and that you won't make a remake of yourself, so they make a fan remake of it in higher definition. I mean, they are what we would call an over they have a tendency to sue people, and they're overly that way. They have really way too much of that. So that's a criticism of Nintendo. It's valid completely, but Nintendo's reputation now is like so much better than Sony's, and there's a lot of people that have fled now to them. A lot of people are now leaving Sony to go over to Nintendo in response to this latest round of news. And then on top of that, a bunch of people have gone over to the PC. You have competitors, Sony. You're now in competition with Valve and the PC and Nintendo, you know? And frankly, as far as I see it, there's no room for you anymore. The video game industry should consolidate down to one in the console space, and that one should be Nintendo. You should just fade out of existence and have to abandon making a video game console at all. And as far as the third party devs, I know that you're probably upset at everybody commenting on their channel, no diss, no purchase and everything and scared about it. Well, you've got power in your hands. You should stop making games for Sony, end your contract with them, and flee over to Nintendo.